All right. Well, here are some notes. The good guys score an early goal to take an early lead. They subsequently blow the lead to lose the game, and special teams are still an issue. Wait, I'm sorry. These are the Ducks notes. I'm sorry. Let me get the other. The good guys score an early goal, subsequently blow a lead late, and special teams issue. What the heck is this? These are the goals notes. These are the same freaking notes. I can't believe it.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I know. The same notes. I get it. I have Ducks notes. I have Gulls notes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks. This is Gulls Thursday. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for over a decade. PA announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Thanks for making this your first listen of the day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So we're going to talk about the organizational problems going on with the San Diego Gulls and the Anaheim Ducks because they are connected of sorts. We'll break down the last three games, including last night's horrific game against the San Jose Barracuda. And then maybe they'll get some home cooking. Maybe. Hopefully. Let's talk about the organizational problems. So, yes, I did actually write down like some notes from both games on Wednesday. I had notes for the Ducks game on Wednesday night against Vegas. I had notes for the Gulls game against the Barracuda. They're almost basically the same notes, verbatim, at this point, and I'm really honest here. I've said this a million times, maybe not that many. Everydayers have heard me say this. I'm not gonna BS you. I'm gonna be honest. When you have similar problems that go down from the NHL to the AHL level, it is not just a team problem. It is not just a coach problem. This is an organizational problem at this point. Yes, this is Locked On Gulls. It is Gulls Thursday, but I have to bring the Ducks into this for this reason because I'm seeing so many similarities, especially the last few games between the Ducks and the Gulls. Here's how I can go with these similarities. First, getting an early lead. Yeah, we've seen time and time this season where the Ducks and the Gulls would score very early, very quickly. They take a 1-0 lead, and you think, okay, this is all good. Maybe, yeah, not so much. It's not so fun, is it? It's not fun when you see a team that has an early lead just blow it almost right away. And this happened with the Ducks yesterday against Vegas. This happened with the Gulls yesterday against San Jose. When you're a team that has issues playing 60 minutes of hockey, you know it's an issue. Now, in the Gulls case, I wouldn't say they did not play 60 minutes. Like, the Gulls played one of their best games of the season and lost. It's almost similar to what the Ducks have done more than a couple of times this season, where they play well, but even playing well isn't good enough for them. So now I have to go to the other part of it, and this is an organizational problem, but maybe this is also some kind of deeper issue. Special teams. Special teams have been killing the Gulls this season. It's really bad when you have an entire organization. It might be just a philosophy thing. Could that be it as well? There is something to be said about having a philosophy drop down from the NHL, AHL, even the ECHL level. If you maintain that same philosophy all throughout, then maybe you're going to have two good teams in the NHL and AHL, or you'll have two bad teams in the NHL and AHL. maintaining a similar philosophy, if it's bad, is not going to help development. It is not going to help bring in guys. It is not going to help bring in free agents. And the draft picks are going to come. But as soon as you get to free agency, who's going to come to San Diego? The Gulls lost a bunch of quality players this winter. They did pick up some good players, but they also lost a bunch as well. And still mysteriously, you have a certain player that is down in Tulsa that is tearing it up. And what? You don't bring him to the AHL level. I'm talking about Sasha Pasajov at this point. But going back to special teams, the San Diego Gulls, they're not exactly bottom in power play. I mean, they're kind of in the bottom middle. They have a 16% power play as of right now. They've had a lot of opportunities, especially compared to other teams. The Firebirds don't get a lot of power plays. The Condors really don't get a lot of power plays. Both of those teams towards the bottom as far as power play percentage. But penalty killing, it's bad for the Ducks. It's worse for the Gulls. The Gulls right now, their PK is amongst the worst in the entire AHL. In fact, they're bottom 10. I think bottom 5 in PK as well. 77.6%. On the bright side, they've only allowed 2 shorthanded goals. And I guess if there's a silver lining to this, they've only allowed 11 power play goals. There's 1 team worse or 2 teams worse, the Silver Knights in the West. That's it. So at least they're not as bad as Henderson. But the special teams have got to be a big issue for the Gulls right now. And I'm going to point out something that happened not once but twice yesterday in San Jose, where the Gulls had a 5-on-3 twice. If you have a 5-on-3 twice and you barely do anything on that 5-and-3, then that is what I personally would call a philosophical issue. That's something that you've got to reward a 5-on-3, or you have at least got to, I don't know, get some better quality shots on goal. No, maybe just work on it more. I mean, I don't know what the antidote is for this, but they super need to work on their 5-on-3s in practice, and they've got to do it in a hurry. Now, the 5-on-4 power play is not terrible. At least they're doing something on 5-on-4s. But it's just the same thing over and over again. This happened last night on both 5-on-3s. It was the same play. It went to the same spot. It went to the same type of one-timer from almost the exact same spot. The opposing team knows it's coming. The Barracuda knew exactly what the Gulls were going to do both times, and they were able to spit every time. And it's the same stupid thing. Same thing. And I hate it. You go around the horn. You pass from point to side, back to the point, back to the other side. Oh my freaking goodness. Try the risky passes. If this sounds familiar to you everydayers, this is almost exactly what I said about the Anaheim Ducks earlier this week, and almost verbatim what I said about Anaheim last week. So I'm going to say it again, but this time applying to the Gulls. Take the medium risk passes. Take the Royal Road passes. It's a medium risk, high reward type of play. So if someone gets an active stick on there, so what? It probably goes back to the neutral zone, but at least you tried it. At least you tried something. The Gulls are not doing such things on the 5-on-3, especially when there's that much open ice. And there was lanes available. That's, I think, what bugs me the most about those 5-on-3s is there was literal wide open lanes available. It was like the Red Sea parting for a Royal Road pass to possibly get a power play goal on the 2-man advantage, and the Gulls just did not take it. That's what drives me nuts. The Ducks did this. Now the Gulls are doing this. This is something that's going to make you want to rip your hair out if you're a fan of this organization. So that's something they've just got to work on, something they desperately need to improve on, especially if they're going to try to get back into the playoff race. So that's it. I've said my piece on that. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the organizational tree, does it? You know, like NHL team, like AHL team. Bleh. Let's head to the first intermission, please. We'll talk about the last 3 games, including the super tough loss where the Gulls got goalied against San Jose. Stay locked in, folks. And now a brief word from FanDuel, which is America's #1 sportsbook. And, you know, it is the NFL season. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you play bets. How about that? So go over to FanDuel.com right now. You doing that right now? Okay, good. Now, once you've done that, then check out the latest lines, view live play-by-play, and you get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL and the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please, folks, gamble responsibly. We're also brought to you by Select Quote. All right, folks, listen up. The World Series, the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the Stanley Cup. The world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. Select Quote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's zone. You invest so much time to take care of yourself and to be the healthiest, best version of you. Select Quote's exclusive policies can reward that effort. So if you go to selectquote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away, they'll give you the right policy for your life and your budget. So get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl today to get started. One more time, that's selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Let's talk about the last few games for the San Diego Gulls. Won't talk too much about the 2 games against the Tucson Roadrunners since that took place about 5 days ago. Those first couple of games, that first one was just something that I'm going to scratch my head at because I don't know what some of those lines were, maybe. Sidorov was out. Travis Howe was in on the 4th line. All right, that's fine, I guess. Dylan Hetherington did start the game. He did leave the game with an injury and did not return to the game. So the Gulls were playing with 5 defensemen for the rest of the game. This was not a good game for Noah Warren. Noah Warren, if I'm going to be really brutally honest here, Noah Warren looked very lost in those 2 games against the Tucson Roadrunners. Probably his worst since turning into a pro. I don't think he needs to go back down to Tulsa. I personally think he can work things out in San Diego. But he did look lost and looked invisible on those 2 games. So during that game, it was really down to Tristan Luneau, Dionisio, and Drew Hellison trying to man up the defense for that first game. And that was really it. That's how bad it was for the Gulls defensively. Artem Duda did score early on. The Gulls did score 2 in the second. They did have a 2-1 lead. Then Tucson scored early in the third to tie things up at 2. And then everything just fell apart literally in the last 2 minutes. As I went back and watched this, it felt like it was going to go to overtime. I really thought that. It was 2-2. It was kind of not super heavy. Like, I could feel the intensity kind of picking up, but at the same time, I could see that the Gulls were trying to get the puck out and maybe were a little bit relaxed. Maybe were thinking, okay, we're just going to take the point and go to overtime. That's what it kind of felt like. It did. And Tucson just swooped in there and took advantage of the lackadaisical play. Kyler Yamamoto scored the game-winning goal for Tucson. Max Zuber then scored, and then Sokolov scored on an empty netter. It went from 2-2 to 5-2 in a minute and a half, in the blink of an eye, just like that. So final score was 5-2 in favor of Tucson. Now, the second game was better for the Gulls. That was their only win of the weekend. They jumped out early, and honestly, this was just bad goaltending by Matt Villalta. Villalta looked bad. I'm going to talk about Matt Villalta for about 20 seconds, and then I'll stop. Villalta had a decent enough start with the Ontario Reign. In several years of watching Villalta, he had some big games for the Ontario Reign. Looked pretty solid for them in the Calder Cup playoffs in 2022. Looked decent enough. And then everything just kind of fell apart the following season. And then after that, I mean, once he got to Tucson, especially this year, he just looks so very lost out there. He's already got a 1-4 record. His save percentage is a career worst 890. His goals against is a career worst 347. This was one where he just looked bad. He allowed 3 goals on 17 shots. That's it. Josh Lapina, Jansen Harkins, who got called up. Sam Colangelo on the power play. He's very good at it, by the way. And then Nikita Nesterenko got rewarded with an empty net goal. San Diego did win that one 4-2. They scored on the power play on this one. Good for them. Then let's get to the game against the Barracuda. Oh boy. If there was a game that made me want to drink, watching both games or trying to watch both games at the same time drove me a little bit crazy, folks. It legit did. The Gulls jumped out to a 1-0 lead very early in this contest. Sam Colangelo scored on the power play. 1-0 Gulls. And then power play time happened. Yeah. I had a hard time watching the latter half of the game because San Diego, while they did outshoot San Jose for the first 2 periods, 36-15, once it got to that last media timeout in San Jose, the Gulls just relaxed. I don't know why they relaxed. It was only a 1-goal game. I mean, 1 goal is all it takes for the opposing team to come back. We've seen this several times before. And San Jose it was a shooting gallery for a long time. And yes, they did get goalied a little bit. Yes, Yaroslav Askarov. Yes, that same Yaroslav Askarov who helped lead the Milwaukee Admirals to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. He wants to get back to the Western Conference Finals in a bad way. He wants to beat the Firebirds badly this year. He's on a personal revenge tour. He saw 49 shots and stopped 48 of them. So part of this is bad systems by the 5-on-3. Part of it was Askarov just played out of his mind. Part of it was San Diego just got outshot towards the end of the game. Like I said, once it got to that last media timeout, there was maybe 4 shots on goal for the Gulls after that. For San Jose, there was, I think, 6 shots after that. So 6-4 from that point. And then in the third period, it was 17-13. So in that about 25-minute range, the Gulls were outshot 23-17, which isn't a super big margin, but the quality of shots was a lot better for San Jose in that period. Thomas Bordeleau scored 2 power play goals to seal the deal for the Barracuda, including a late one. Bordeleau's first 2 goals of the season, a little bit of a tip, and that was it. That was absolutely it. I will say, getting goalied sucks. Having a bit of puck luck, because there was one that went off the post as well. I like the effort from some of the guys on this game. Nikita Nesterenko tried to have a breakaway, just could not go through. Did draw a penalty on that one, so that was good. I liked the game from Nesterenko. I thought that the Gulls had scored. Dionisio got a loose puck in, but the whistle blew. All right, fine. So goals disallowed, and then after that, 2-1 Barracuda. Just a disappointing way to end that game. San Diego had this game. They had this game. Like I mentioned, the first 2 periods, they outshot the Barracuda 36-15. And if you take away that last little stanza, they outshot them 32-11. Yeah. You could see why I'm upset at this one. The shots were so wide and so just apart. If I told you that the Gulls outshot someone in about 48 minutes, 32-11, you would think that that team is going to win. Nope, didn't happen. During that time period, the Gulls did have a 1-0 advantage. That was it. All right, we're going to head to the second intermission. I'm going to go have a drink and talk about this upcoming homestand. It's a long one. We'll get to that on the other side. And now a brief word from PrizePicks. All right, folks, if you haven't gone to PrizePicks yet, then you should check it out right now, because PrizePicks is your best daily fantasy sports site, and it's accessible to all. Probably the best daily fantasy sports app out there. You just pick more or less on about 4 players, or at least 4 players, to win up to 100 times your cash. You could run your game all season long on PrizePicks, and you could look at some of these Ducks players that are scoring so many points. Troy Terry, could he have more or less than a half a point next game? Frank Vetrano, could he have more than a point and a half next game? PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including this one, California. And PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured, like Dylan Hetherington. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. And also there's weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday. Every Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. So, do this. Download the app today on your little phone right here and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. Welcome back to Locked On Gulls, because it is Gulls Thursday. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you're locked in with a very exasperated Jason Hernandez talking about losses, and more losses. And this is not a regular Ducks podcast. This is a Gulls podcast. It makes me sad that the Gulls are losing this many games. especially on the road like that. But hey, maybe some home cooking is going to help the San Diego Gulls because they've got a plethora of home games. And in general, they do seem to play at home. So I do have high hopes for the Gulls coming up. 4 of their next 5 games this month are going to be at Pechanga Arena. And then the other one will be just down the road at Coachella Valley. So we have Saturday against the Bakersfield Condors. That's a 6 o'clock start. Then Wednesday, San Diego takes on the division leading Calgary Wranglers. That's a game that I'm kind of looking at going, okay, I'm a little afraid of this one. I know the Gulls lost twice in Calgary. Maybe there's a bit of revenge here. So one can hope. One can hope for revenge. To round out the rest of this month, you have next Friday, the following Friday, November 22nd, the Gulls against the Firebirds at Acrisure Arena. I hope to see a ton of you come out to this game, or even a few of you. I hope a few of you come out to Acrisure Arena next Friday. If you do, send me a holler. Let me know that you're going to Acrisure to check out Firebirds Gulls. That should be a lot of fun. Then the following day on a back-to-back, travel back to Pechanga Arena to take on the Ontario Reign, who have been struggling big time this season. I think the Reign right now might be worse in a sense than the Gulls. I truly believe that. The Gulls are bad. The Gulls are bad right now. There's no way around it. They are 9th in the division with a low percentage. Ontario is frankly kind of lucky 6 right now because their scoring is very shaky. Their goaltending is very off and on. The goal scoring can be hot for a couple of games and then ice cold the following game. They had back-to-back games recently where they put up a touchdown on their opponents and then just got torched twice in a row by the Firebirds. Although the Firebirds are still a pretty decent enough team. They are. Ontario's record might be a mirage, and at one point this season, the Reign were like right in the bottom with the Gulls. As of right now, the bottom teams are the Reign, the Roadrunners, the Gulls, and the Silver Knights. The Reign and Gulls are kind of right there. That's going to be a game to watch out for where the Gulls can take advantage. Tucson again, this time at home. Maybe a bit of revenge there as well. The Roadrunners, not a good team. The Reign, not a good team. Bakersfield, they're a middle team. They're pretty good. Their goaltending's good. They are the lowest scoring team in the division. They are only averaging about 2.3 goals per game. Not great, although the Gulls are averaging 2.8 right now, so they're not scoring a ton right now either. But Bakersfield is just not scoring enough. So if you can get Cal Klang to put up a masterful performance against the Condors, that might be one of their best shots to get a win. So if I'm going to project, I'm going to say Bakersfield is a winnable game. Ontario's a winnable game. Tucson's a winnable game. Coachella Valley, they can get a point out of Coachella Valley. Calgary, I'm not going to lie, that's going to be tough. So if they can get at least 6 points in these next 5 games, then they're right back in it, and I would consider that successful. After that, December, you got a road game and then 4 home games. So there's going to be a lot of home games coming up before we hit the holidays. All right, that's going to do it for this podcast. I want to thank you all for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, among others. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube if you have not already. You could follow me on Twitter X at StimpyJD. The show's Twitter X is at LO_Ducks. You could email me at LockedOnAnaheimDucks@gmail.com. And once again, thank you all so much for your continued support, especially right now. It is very much greatly appreciated. For Locked On Goals, I'm Jason Hernandez saying have a great rest of the night. Please remember to be safe out there. Please be kind to one another. Please be kind to yourselves, folks. and Ducks and Gulls fly together. Caca, caca. That's my best goal impression. It wasn't that good.